Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajaman Harana Bhava Bhaya Darunam Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajaman Harana Bhava Bhaya Darunam Navakanjalochana Kanjamukhakara Kanjapada Kandarpaganita Amita Chavinava Nina Niraja Sundaram Patapitamaanavu Taditaruchi Shuchi Naumi Janakasutavaram Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Ram Ram, Siya Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Ram Ram, Siya Ram. Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajaman Harana Bhava Bhaya Darunam Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajaman Harana Bhava Bhaya Darunam Navakanjalochana Kanjamukhakara Kanjapada Kandarpa Amita Chavinava Nila Niraja Sundaram Patapitamaanavu Taditaruchi Shuchi Naumi Janakasutavaram Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Ram Ram, Siya Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Ram Ram, Siya Ram.
So we said we wanted orange juice in this cup. What do we have to do? If we tried it, we get stuck. So first we have to remove something. So right now it's closed. So it has to be open first, and then it has to be emptied out before we can fill anything else. Now In a strangely primitive way, our soul, our antakarna is like this. It's just like this. So it is filled with what right now? Bhagavan has told us, all the Vedantins have told us, filled with conditioning, vasana. Vasana is not just lust, but lust could be a part of it. So it's filled with conditioning, and the path to getting the right stuff in is to free our insides from conditioning, from avidya. All the spiritual sadhana, spiritual practice is in one way or the other showing us how to empty this cup. So the Orthodox Christians will call it kenosis. We will say surrender, we will say let go, not grasping. All of these are the ways in which we've been told that we have to empty this cup. Now, what is this? What are these vasanas, this conditioning replaced with? That's the good stuff that we want, right? So what is that? Huh? Virtues. Okay, so virtues is very interesting. So is virtues part of the emptying, or is it part of the new filling? Kind of inconclusive over there. It's all right. We don't have to be fully determinant about these things. But fundamentally, we have been given a promise. We've been given a promise that once we are empty of the false stuff, then the true comes and lives there. See? The true being, God, God's love, God's light, God's peace, God's truth, God's beauty, Satyam Shivam Sundaram. See? Now, this Satyam Shivam Sundaram cannot be filled into a cup which is full of egotism, which is pride, which is desire, which is time, past, future, guilt, regret. All of these things become our conditions. Igni so far? So container, let me not sound academic today. Container, two opposing ends of things which can be filled into container. And that container is all of our faculties, all of our that which is easy to call our insides, you see. So all the, we know about the sheets, the 7 layers of existence, body, breath, mind, intellect, memory, ego, self, all of these things we've heard about. So right now, under mental oppression, it is filled with all the ego stuff. But it is possible for it to be filled with God stuff, God Himself. Now, there are two main forces at play. One is the force called Maya, which is the world when it works together with the sense of me. And the second is the force called the spirit or the Atma. These are the two ones which are directly in play when it comes to this container that we have. Now, if you realize that the purpose of your life is to empty this container of the false and to keep it empty of the false and to allow the filling of the truth to happen. You see, and I'll talk about why we can't say to fill it up with the truth. You see, it is to allow the filling of the truth to happen, then we are on the spiritual path. You see? Once we realize that it's about spirit filling us up, then we are on the spiritual path. So, when we live a fearful life, when we live an insecure life, when we live a life which is constantly grasping at the world and yet not finding contentment and satisfaction, that means that our life may still be filled with ignorance, the mistaken belief, the primary mistaken belief being who I am itself. And around that one big original lie, all the lies can be built up. So, do you all realize that this is the spiritual project? You see this? Many of us want to do it without Atma, like a spiritless spirituality. And in a way, then that becomes a godless spirituality. Why do we want to do it like that? Because it seems too far-fetched. It seems too ungraspable. It seems too difficult. You see? I would rather understand 50 things because that's what we're used to doing. We've studied so many things in our lives. So I'd rather understand those things rather than allow spirit to take over, allow the Atma to take over. And the fear of just being naked, you see? This empty container maybe feels more naked than a physical bodily nakedness. Just feel like nothing to hold on to. You see? What do I know? I can't really say. You see? So there's a period of time when that transition is happening where you can feel very, very vulnerable, very all like the ground under your feet has been swept away. You see? And the mind is very scared of that. So the mind is very scared of that, and Maya doesn't want it to happen. So, and Maya puts all kinds of obstacles in our path the minute it's losing us, no? Then all kinds of things start happening. And I don't know if all of you can have observed that, but I definitely observed that the almost to the day I started becoming spiritual, things started happening in my life. You see? Things started happening to keep me involved in the world, grasping for worldly solutions to take me away from God's light. And this is very common. Not that it has to happen to everyone, but it's very commonly the case that this, which can sound too hocus pocus for most of us, that there is a force called Maya which fights. It is, at least my experience is very, very true about that, that the minute you want to let go of the world wants to hold on to you more. So all kinds of things will start jumping up. Now, this doesn't have to be just trouble coming, you see. Well, in a way, it has to be just trouble coming, but that trouble can look very good sometimes. You see? So one of the first spiritual retreats I attended, I sat in the retreat and I started getting the best ideas about what to do in business. You know? The best ideas. I was just sitting there, came to just empty myself. I said, just leave this retreat right now. Leave this retreat right now. Start this. You see, become super rich. Then you can donate all your money to the poor, and then you can be spiritual all your life. You see, so this kind of thing, and it sounded so good. No? Now, what do you think happened the minute the retreat got over? And I stayed, of course. And I looked at those ideas; they were absolutely rubbish. You see, so it hypnotizes you. So how many times has it happened in satsang? Uh, Somebody says, Father, help me get married. You know, my family is just after me, get married. I've been trying for so many years, 6 years, trying to get married. You see? Can you help me? And then we just pray, God, let thy will be done. And the partner shows up. Right? And then they say, thank you, thank you, thank you, Father. So grateful to you. And I say, don't let me not see you in satsang. Don't let me not see you in satsang. And what do you think happened? Out. You see? Sometimes in a week, sometimes in a month, sometimes in a few months. It's very, very common. Sometimes relationship comes. In that relationship, there are divergent views then our coming to satsang doesn't seem that easy. Sometimes some job opportunities come. Sometimes babies come. You see? One child was really, I felt like she has so much light in her. So uh, her family was really pressurizing her to have a baby. So, and she had a baby, and she was like, Father, you're like his granddad, and you're the Nanaji, and all of these things. And we'll all come to satsang together. Didn't see her after that. You see? And I'm not blaming her. I'm not saying anything is wrong with her or any of these kids. I'm just saying that this is how Maya works. Okay? This is how Maya works. And again, don't hear it in a way that I'm saying that you have to come to this satsang. I'm not talking about that. But I'm just saying the forgetting of what is the main purpose of our existence. What is not just the main purpose, but the way our very design. You see? Our very design is to be filled with God. So if there was a container which is meant to preserve the heat of the beverage, okay, and we are just using it for Coca-Cola all the time. You say, okay, you can use it for that, but that's not what it's designed for. You see? So our insides can be used in a egotistical way, but they are not designed for that. How do we know they're not designed for that? Because we suffer. So we may have the taste of the bubbles initially, but eventually we suffer. So that is when we fill ourselves up. Then the drink goes flat. and if you left it at that, then that would be fine, but it does much worse apparently on the inside. So this metaphor seems to be working out quite well. So, so it gives you the initial promise of great things, but eventually leads to suffering, eventually leads to a wasted life. There is no difference in what I see, and you may not agree with me on this, but there is no difference between that life and a life which was never born. Is it? What I often call the zombie life. So that is the spiritual project. And all true religions are also pointing to the very same spiritual project. See, all have their separate pathways, all have their uh, ways, their even rituals and things. But it is a spiritual project if it involves two things: letting go of the false and allowing the true to make his home in our heart. Allow the Atma to take over or spirit to take over. So is that the project of our life? At least the primary project of our lives. Everything else can go on in the world, it's fine. Why I'm asking that is that it's very, very rare cases where we can say that maybe because of some past life, something that um, somebody got the truth in that way. But mostly you will find that this happened with those who very, very clearly made this their number one priority in their lives. You see? So it basically, okay, I promised myself before coming to Satsang today, not going to sound academic, okay? So what I'm simply saying is that you can't do it as a hobby. It can't be a side project. You see? You may enter it that way. Somebody may call you to satsang and you may feel like nice to come once uh, every few days and feel the peace or something like that. But really, if it is to make a lasting transformation, it has to become an inward switch where the love for God or the love for truth, which are both the same, but if they seem different, either one of these should become the most important for us. Become the most important for us. Like in my case, not that I've done anything great or I'm anybody great, but in my case, what happened is that I just couldn't stand the fact that I don't know what is true. And the most fundamental question, who am I? What am I doing here? What happens after death? You see, where did I come from? None of those questions which are really important, did I have a good answer about? I just didn't know the truth. You see? So that truth seeking led me to the spiritual quest. You see? Even a question like how to be free from suffering. You see? How can I be rid of suffering? Or why should we even suffer in this world? Is that the design of this world? If the Buddha said the world is suffering, that sounded a bit strange to me. The world itself means suffering. There has to be something more to it, to this. See? So, okay, can we step into this a little more? So, if you are determined that you will find the truth, you will hit a block. You see, you will first hit a block. That block is that the block of our capability of our mind intellect. So, if a question like who am I? It should be the most fundamental question. You see, we say so much I this, I went here, I did this. We are constantly I. But somebody says, but who are you? Like, I know what you're trying to ask, you know, but yeah, I know I'm Brahman or Atma or God Himself. Some answer we know, but that it doesn't come like that, no? Like if I say, where do you live? Bangalore. You see? No, no, you don't live in Bangalore. Of course I live in Bangalore. What do you mean? You see, like that. And if I say, but how do you really know you are the Atma? How do you really know you are the Brahman? No matter how much you've convinced yourself. You see? So then what happens is that sometimes we run into these people who have really made the project about convincing themselves. We met someone like that. We keep meeting some people like that in spiritual places or seemingly spiritual places. So this one in orange robes thought that the whole project is to be that convinced and therefore to convince everyone. You see? So he came to us and said, what does your guru tell you? Tell me, ask me in a chai shop. Tell me, some of you were there, one of you. So, yeah, what does your guru tell you? See? And he wanted to be the next Shankara debater, debate the hell out of everyone so that they would convert to following him. But there was no real, you could sense that even the children sitting over there felt like there's no real, you see, there's no real insight there. There's nothing of depth there. So then we just said nothing, nothing. You see, but he wanted to like engage, you see, at an intellectual level, because probably his mind told him that day that now that you have understood you are Brahman, you can become the next Shankara. Something like that. So that is the problem. We're trying to approach this. Like, this is the classical mistake we make when we think that Jnana Yoga is the yoga of the intellect. You exercise the intellect enough and insight will come. Start making questions. So, Jnana Yoga is not the yoga of the mind intellect. Although it may initially seem attractive to people who are intellectually inclined, but it has to take us beyond the intellect. And I was telling Naren about Swami Sachidanandendra Saraswati yesterday, that I love him so much because he is one of the first Swamis to say, that I heard saying, that it is a universal path, and the universal path is to get to the intuitive. Non-empirical means to coming to the recognition of the truths, which is what really Vedanta is about. And he said that even if you find that in the Shastras, in the scripture, it is not written that way, then just keep it aside. Keep that particular verse aside, or keep the scripture aside, which is very rare to find in a Vedantin, because for them, the scripture is the number one source of truth. You see? But then that project is really difficult. In the thousands of Upanishads, even if you take the hundreds of them which are available, it's very difficult to create a linear intellectual model of what the truth is. Not just difficult, it is impossible. You see? So then we spend our whole life trying to do this jugglery with words. No, what he means over there is like fits in exactly with what he means over there. Because this word used in Sanskrit is like that, and Hebrew is like that. Then you spend your whole life trying to make sense of this framework in the head, which is just not make sensible in the head. And how disappointing would that be if one day at the end of all our seeking, we found God conceptually in our heads, or the Atma was figure outable to our intellect? How disappointing would that be, that there is no mystery in it, there's no magic in it, there's no supernatural in it, it is purely empirical. Just a question of putting two and two together. Doesn't work like that. Cannot work like that. Thank God. Thank God it cannot work like that. Because we are aiming for recognition of that which is beyond the universe, beyond time and space. Bhagavan told us time and space are notional. There is notions. Is it? Now, let's take a notion like that. That time and space are notional, comes from a very credible source, Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharishi. You see, hardly anybody would debate with him. So he has said that they are notional. Now, how to meet this? So this is a classical example of what? A pointer, isn't it? A pointer in spirituality is that which points you outside the universe, outside the natural laws. You see? So he has very directly said time and space are notion. In the arising of the I am, There is the birth of notional time and space. How to meet this? So they've also said we must, they've not said, really, if you look at it, we keep hearing the word recognize, realize, meet, find. Hardly anyone says understand. Hardly anyone says understand this. Even if they say understand this, hopefully they're true teachers. They're not saying understand this conceptually. They're using the word because it's very difficult to find the words for this. So we have to be guided by a different set of eyes to recognize the truth of a simple statement like that. Now, our problem is because we are living in a time where these pointers are everywhere. You see, earlier you would have to sweep the floors of an ashram 12 years before you were given access to one shastra. You could read this shastra, and to get something like the Shiva Sutras or Ashtavakra or Avadhuta Gita or all of these scriptures, you would have to spend an entire lifetime of sadhana. You see? Even Saint Teresa of Avila, I was saying last time, that Bibles were not that available. So she would have to borrow for a few days and give it back. You see? So scripture was not as easily available. But now what happened is that it's so commonly available that everyone thinks that we can make sense of it, we can understand it. And in that understanding, we are finding the truth. Is there anything fundamentally wrong with the understanding? No, there isn't, because even the pointer at some level has to be understood first. So there isn't anything fundamentally wrong with that, but we must not mistake the door to be the home. Or like the Zen master said, you must not uh, mistake the finger to be the moon. The finger is just pointing at the moon. If you start worshipping the finger as the moon, then there's a problem with that. So then if we hit this block, with me so far, container, container filled with Maya, therefore vasanas, me, basically, that has to be emptied out and filled with Atma's light, Atma's love. You see? Now, it fits very well with what I'm saying. Because if at the end of the day, all we had is a lot of pointers collected in the cup, you see, and we were mistaken, uh, and we are usually mistaken in our pride, you see, because pride is only pride of knowing. You see? And I've seen this often, that once we get to know a few things from scripture, without realizing, we get into, oh, but I know this, you see, but I know. But you see, this is what it says in this Gita verse, and this is what it says in this Upanishad verse. We can get into a trap of confusing insight with conceptual knowing. You see? So the pointer then gets mistaken to be a knowledge of the truth. And that's why I say, like Swami Sachidananda Saraswati, uh, he really, I think he was a contemporary of the very famous pontiff of Kanchi Mat, no, who is Swami Chandrasekhar, something like that. So, so they were Guru Bhais or something like that. I'm not so sure, but he was as well regarded as that. So, so he said that there is a deeper insight, and he proposed that in Vedanta, what is offered is Adhyaropa Apavada. We spoke about it the last satsang. Where? Who remember? Okay, points for this. Special enlightenment points for this. Come on, Jyotima. Very good. Very good. So, say something very strongly, conclusively. This body is made of Brahman, this body is only Brahman, this floor is Brahman alone, this floor is Brahman. Then say, no, when you're fully convinced of that, then say Brahman is not manifest, cannot be pointed to. Then you're left what? Like a Zen koan. So it takes you, and he's given hundreds of examples of Adhyaropa Apavada throughout Vedanta, where it has the exact same effect as a true inquiry, like who am I, or a Zen koan, taking you away from the mental boundaries, because our mind intellect system is too tiny to contain God. See, it is at best good enough to contain some pointers to God. So when we start approaching spirituality in that way, and then you start to see that what's being offered in terms of words in satsang is just pointers. Now, I was saying the other day, should someone go left or right? What does that depend on? Left or right? Where they want to go and where they're starting from and where they are presently, isn't it? So pointers have that nature, and that's why reading even talks with Ramana is so frustrating because he just says, nothing, everything can happen only by God's grace. You see? And then after one page, he'll say, whatever come what may, you must do the inquiry. And you go like, अभी तो बोला everything happened by God's grace, and you feel so much relief. Okay, I don't have to do anything at all. The next page he says you must do the inquiry till you come to the truth, otherwise you'll waste your life, and all that kind of thing. So you wonder what is the truth between these two, you see, and that is the problem with reading older testimony, because the answer that came for that one had to go this way, and the answer that came for that one had to go this way, and not just that one, that day, in that moment. so so although we may get pointed to, and God's grace helps us in our path, it sends the right books and the right pages our way, just when we need them, you see. But then to determine what is the truth, do I need to do the inquiry till I come to the truth? Then I will see it as grace, or to just trust that grace will make everything happen. He said, no, uh, if it is not happy, it is not the end of the story yet. He also said those kind of things. So pointers then are very alive to the moment, and that's why we were talking about AI some time back, which also that it's very good at, what is it? It's a language prediction model. So it'll predict what the next word should be based on some probability, so it doesn't give the same answer always. So it's got an amazing training data now. It is trained on everything, and it'll give you the words based on its algorithm and things like that. But it doesn't have that access to the holy light. It does not have that access to the Atma within, which then can guide based on what the questioner needs to hear in that moment. And I'm not saying it's not useful. I feel like it's very useful. It's very useful as a study tool, as a helpful tutorial tool. We can use it in that way, but it'll never become a replacement for satsang, as much as I love to joke about it. And you can feed all my transcripts into it and it'll come up with very good answers. But what I see happening here is not that one Ananta is sitting and speaking. In fact, it becomes satsang only if Ananta is out of the picture. Okay? And those satsangs are the horrible ones when I'm speaking from opposition. You see, I find it yucky on the inside. You see, so satsang is only satsang when we are in the company of the truth, and the company of the truth is the company of the Atma within. It is when the Atma speaks and the Atma points, then it becomes Satsang. So, one thing we have to keep in mind is that don't wait for the perfect path to start the project. You see? Otherwise, we'll just keep evaluating. You see? Like my children, at 12:30 in the afternoon, they would have said, Pa, I'm going to order some food from Swiggy. Yeah? They said, okay. Till 2:30 in the afternoon, they've just been going through the stuff. You see, just going through stuff. I'm like, when are you going to eat? You see? So in this path, we have to jump in. We have to jump in. Not saying don't do due diligence, do some due diligence. There are a lot of frauds around, so to be careful. But once you find something which appeals to your heart, then jump and see what it does to your insides. Does it bring you some sense of inner light, something unexplainable, something out of the ordinary? Chat on Vedanta. Not, I think that great, but maybe the recording may be of interest to you. So, it is spirituality if it is about emptying and filling with Atma. Emptying of the false egotism, avidya, uh, attachment to Maya, and filling with the light of the Atma within. Yeah? That is when it is spirituality. Now, what is needed, because again, it's very, very rare that you hear this and you are empty and then full of the light. It's very rare, because what happens? The force that we call Maya doesn't want that to happen, isn't it? So every day it gives you something to focus on. One day, one relationship, one day, some money issue, one day, some body issue, one day, some other thing. Okay? Every day it gives you something or the other to focus on. And after a few days, that same thing which seems so important that day may not even feel so important. But it fills you up on that particular day. Your mind is obsessed by it, your emotions are about it, all your body may feel stress and anxiety. So all of the layers of our existence, our antakarna gets filled with all of this uh, Maya stuff. And this is, forget about emptying ourselves of the vasanas. It is filling us up more and more, even though presumably we may be on the spiritual path. You see, just by declaring yourself as spiritual doesn't mean that now avidya won't try to tempt you. You see? Huh? It is not that it's now this one is off limits because they have declared themselves that they are on the Jnana Yoga path. You see? So let's not. They will. In fact, it seems like it tries harder. It seems like it tries harder. So, and on the other hand, God's light is available to you. You just have to turn to the right place. So, what I've been insisting this calendar year is everybody should have the tool that they're using to turn inwards very clear for them. Huh? Yeah, at least for that day. At least for that day. Because what happens is if you have 50 tools and Maya is saying, oh, but you're losing all your money, you see, then you're not going to sit and say, okay, which now? Should I chant or should I inquire or should I, you see, should I get my mala or should I listen to a bhajan? You see, then it gets you too fast. So if you have a sense that this is my primary sadhana for the moment, then that helps you because the minute you start to sense that hypnotism happening, you go back to Ram, Ram, Ram. Go back to Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Whatever your sadhana is, you go back to that. If it is inquiry, then you go back to when it's saying, but you will be on the road, then you say, but who is that one? Can you show me that one who will be on the road? Doesn't have any good answer to that. So, and all across the traditions of the world, this has been called various things. So Anand-Maya told us that Maya is only when Main Aya. That's very helpful because otherwise we think that the appearance of the world itself is Maya itself. It is not done till the me is taken its place. That's a very hopeful statement. So that what it tells us is that just because the waking state is here doesn't mean that we are in Maya. Yeah? So the material for the sutradhar, for the narrator, may appear in the form of the movie, you see, but till we buy into the subtitles or the narrative, we are not stuck in Maya. That's very, very helpful. You see? So we don't have to wage this war or fight this battle from being stuck in Maya. We can be in the neutrality and then allow God to move from there. You see? So what he's told us in this way, I don't know whether all of you realize this or not, but this is the end of Maya right now. Till you pick it back up again. That's a big switch and a very important one. You see? It may not seem like that initially because it may seem like this me to gets picked up like that only automatically. What are you talking about? You see, it may seem like that, but I promise you, take any sadhana which is time tested, and within a few months, within definitely 1 or 2 years of practice, it will not seem automatic that you are stuck in Maya. Now, that much is a requirement. If it happens faster than that, easier than that, then may it be so by God's grace. But we must not have these expectations that we do in modern spirituality, which is, oh, I'll just hear one thing and that will be the end of Maya. That's very, very rare. Very, very rare. See? To do computer engineering takes how many years? Or any engineering, I don't know. 4 years. You see? But to be free from Maya should be 4 minutes. Instant noodles. Huh? Just Maya, come on. How difficult can it be? Huh? Exactly, exactly. So Maya itself tells us that it should be easier than that. Face this difficult project is do is possible to do in a few years. So if the cup is full of Maya, it cannot be full of God. What am I saying? I've said for a few years now, almost every satsang. I'm just repeating that, which is that the lane is very narrow. The Hima Gali hai, Sakri, and I should learn the full thing by now, I think, but I don't know the original words of that. But the point is that the lane is too narrow. There is room only for one. If there is me, there cannot be God. If there is God, there cannot be me. So that is the important point. Now, what is the mechanism to be empty of this me? Not as a finality, but moment to moment, day after day. That is called spiritual practice. What is the point of spiritual practice? It's a bad word in today's day. That you have to practice spirituality has become in some circles, spiritual circles, a bad word. Like, oh, practice. You see? Oh, that's it's an indirect path because it's talking about practice. Now, that's just like saying that I will go to the Mr. Universe contest tomorrow and deadlift some 500 kgs or something. It doesn't happen like that. Till you practice small, then. So, what is practice? Practice is learning to be with the truth. If we can't do it in a closed room where nobody is disturbing us, eyes closed, sitting comfortably, then how do you think you can do it when you're in like a workplace where there's stress and people fighting, all of these things? How do you feel like you can just go over there and suddenly you'll remember everything you learned in satsang and you'll in that situation be able to be empty? You see? Yeah. So maybe the problem is in the word practice. You have to find a better word. Just learn to be at ease. We're learning to be at ease with ourselves without when there are no distraction, so that when there are hundreds of distractions, we can then uh, go into that. Remain with God when Maya is playing all its cards. Yeah. It's difficult enough when Maya doesn't seem to be playing much cards, many of its cards, isn't it? Like, I cannot say that every time I sit down for sadhana, it's just so nice. Even after being at this for 27 years, you find days where you just get pulled back into Maya again and again, and you have to return. So, she and there's this part about
it's all God's grace, and the next page is self-inquiry. I didn't fully get the disconnect there because isn't no matter how much you do self-inquiry, you're going to eventually need some grace. Where self-inquiry is almost the path where you're expecting the light to shine. Is that the right way to think about it? Or
absolutely.
Okay.
So you're right that, but imagine the boy who was reading this without realizing how the mechanics of this works. So he read this saying, God only has to do everything. So you feel like okay, then I can just wait for God to do it when it has to happen, with a sense of relief also. And then you say, no, but you must do it till you come to the truth. You see, then it seems like, but I just relax because you said grace will take care of it. So it can be read in that way. The point you're making is a very beautiful one and a subtle one. So what is it that we can do? We can offer our body, our mind, our intellect, our emotion, all our phenomenal world. We can, in a childlike posture, offer that to God. Whether that offering happens in the form of asking the question, who am I? Or in the form of a surrendered prayer saying, I belong to you, Lord, you do with me as you will. You see? Now we offered that. After that, whether our faculties become one-pointed and oriented to the heart, can we do that? No. You see, we don't have the lever to turn and say now the Antakarna has become Ekagrachit and now turning Antarmukhi. This kind of thing, we don't have the capacity to do. So grace starts right from there. Even what is called the recollection itself has to happen by grace. Then whether grace leads us to that holy love, that holy peace, that holy insight about who we are, and then ultimately even the sense of recognition of oneness or the feeling of divine union, all of that, right, from recollection to this. So from Antarmukhi to Savikalpa to Nirvikalpa to complete annihilation is all his doing only. So we do the tiny seeming part, but we must do the tiny seeming part as long as it feels like I can do anything at all. You see, so we must not become non-doers too quick. You see, I want to do everything else, but my spirituality he has to do. You see, then that can become a very convenient Advaita. Secondly, because there's a lot of infection about this I am not the doer thing, my favorite question to ask is, who you is not the doer? Who is the you which is not the doer? They say the false one, the false one. I said, but you are not the false one. Why you refer to yourself as the false one? You see, so that just part conceptual non-duality, non-doer, just using non-doership is not the key, no? And this half surrender in the form of I surrender my doership, but I don't surrender my experiencership. So Tom kacha now, but मैं भोगता. Yeah? Which means that now you are the doer and I am the little old me who is the experiencer of what you're doing to me. But till that doesn't become Tvam Karta, Tvam Bhokta, we should not get into any halfway surrender type traps. What is being asked of us? Just offer yourself. Ask the question, who am I? Or just pray to God, take God's name. Is that so difficult? We tell our kids to do much more than that. No? Every day I tell my son, did you do this? Are you doing this? Are you doing? But in spirituality now, because it seems frustrating, why does it feel frustrating? Let me phrase this another way. If we learn to enjoy the fact that our faculties are limited, then it would not be frustrating. Is it? Can't it be so good that God cannot be grasped by my mind and intellect, my memory and my imagination? So I hit a boundary there when I try to meet him, when I try to recognize him, when I try to come to God realization, my usual faculties don't work. Therefore, our Guru is introducing us to a different faculty. Or he's the big lad. So Those are the only two possibilities. No, there's the third one that is completely bonkers. But you see, those are the three possibilities. Full liar, office rocker, or there is something to this which is beyond worldly faculty. Now, which one of the three is for you to determine? But I can promise you that if you spend your entire life thinking that your senses and your thoughts and your judgment capacity in the intellect is the very extent of your existence, you would have wasted this life. You would have bought a car and not realized the entire life of that car that is a convertible. So, convert our lives. There's a different way of living, different way of being. All it needs is a sense of wonder instead of a sense of frustration. Maybe it's easy to sit on this pedestal and talk like this. But if somebody had told that frustrated boy in spirituality, myself a few years back, that don't get frustrated by the fact that you're not getting it, that you're not getting the point, you're not being able to meet it, because the revelation is that much sweeter. Because you've left the false faculties or the limited faculties behind. If it had just happened instantly, maybe you would not have valued that. So, to maybe conclude on the Vedanta point, so when I came across Swami Satchidanandendra Saraswati, and the only criteria to follow him is if you can pronounce his name. When I read his works and tiny booklets, we ordered them twice or thrice, I don't know whether they're still here. When I read his main thing about it is not, the truth of Brahman is not graspable through empirical methods. This was music to my ears. Music to my ears, because you will rarely find that, strangely, even Vedanta. So we have to get off the beaten track somewhere, even if that seems a bit crazy to our mind. This much we must have understood by now that we cannot understand. Is it? If that much we've understood, then that's the extent of the understanding that we will have. You see? But that's not the end of the road. That's the beginning of the road. It's the end of the road for the limited faculties. You see? But it's really the beginning of the road for the true life, which is full of so much grace and love and peace and all the beauty you can imagine, without having to change anything on the inside, on the outside. Okay, but before the question, understood that we cannot be fully understood? I'm using that word fully at least as a concession. I'm learning to value the pointers a little more. I'm to value transformed and keeps getting transformed every day by listening to the pointers of the sages. So, not as dismissive of anything which can be conceptualized as I was. But to take that too far to say one day we will be able to conceptualize Atma itself would be to take it too far.
It's interesting what you said, Father, that cannot be understood by the mind, and one should dwell in magical wonder that, in fact, be happy that it cannot be understood with the mind. And today, sitting here, it's sounding like music. But 5 years ago, if I would have come here and I would have heard this, I wouldn't have come to a second satsang, because all I knew was mind. And so, in a way, like you also started today by talking about right and left, that the timing of the instruction is crucial for that particular student in that moment. So it almost seems like this misinterpretation of Gyan path being the path of the mind or the intellect may be a nice carrot or a honey to lure my former self in.
Yes.
And then hopefully that person makes effort and eventually reaches what you're saying today. So yeah, it's just a fascinating way to get where we need to get.
Just like Maya can use everything to its advantage, God can also use. When I was in the third standard, sorry, I'm going on too much about me. I have to shut up today. But this last one. Third standard, I wanted to, did I share this story? I wanted a Atari computer to play games. Some of you know this Atari. So my dad pulled a trick on me. He used to work in a software firm called TCS. So he said, instead of buying me that, he said, I'm getting you a better device. And he got me a PC. It was a 8086 with no hard disk. It was just floppy drive. So he said, on this, you can play all the games you want. And here's a book, by the way. With this book, you can make all this cartoons and all that you see. And I said, okay, and had all those illustrations. So I said, eventually I'll be able to make all these cartoons on the computer and do that in the third standard. And I started doing that. And I realized it wasn't that at all. So he got me a basic programming book. And I was writing basic code, and then you could move like some things, or you could draw circles on the screen, but you could not make those cartoons happen. But then I got used to using the computer in that way. See? So you're absolutely right that God can use the misunderstanding, you see, because it seems very attractive for those who are not attracted to like a Hatha Yoga type sadhana or some other devotion type sadhana. They're not attracted to that. God can use that misunderstanding that this, you just read a few things, you'll understand, you see, and then you'll get it. So it can be a good starting point. Huge.
The other thing I wanted to ask you is, in the Upanishad, there is the Brahmana. Way, so it's cutting it out. I mean,
that's why I found it so refreshing, no? To hear a Swami say that there is a higher Praman than the scripture itself is very rare.
No, but in the that is the pramana. Pramana means like it's the means to knowledge. Like the eyes of look, so the book will help you to come to the recognition of the truth. So it didn't say that in the sense that, I mean, if we studied that book, it would lead, it says it's aparoksham. So that means that you can't get it through the understanding way, right? It said that as well. It didn't say that you're going to come to know it. But it's, I don't know why I'm defending it, but I feel like that when we are here, that when we are sitting here also in satsang, we don't really know how that shift takes place from you to us. Like how it changes.
What are you defending and
I'm
what is it
defending
that
is
I'm
what
attacking?
so you're saying is that no, that is not a pramanam, and I'm defending it
All I'm saying, okay, where did the Upanishads come from?
from the
Shruti.
sages inside.
Shruti, no? So Shruti was what?
Inside. It was inside.
What is the literal translation?
I don't know.
Shruti is heard by from God. So the sages heard it from God and they wrote it there.
Correct.
All I'm saying is that God is the higher.
It's not denying that, but I mean, what
All I'm
I
saying
misunderstood.
is
I
that
misunderstood.
God is the higher source of thing, and that God, in the form of the Atma, lives in your heart.
No,
So if something seems to be different, because are you saying that in the thousands of Upanishads, in the 100 whatever we have in the library here, there are no confusing things or everything? Of course, there's a lot of things which are yeah.
makes a
And that's why the Lord Himself had to come. If the Upanishads were so clear, then the Lord would not have to give us Bhagavad Gita.
Oh no. I mean, I obviously
Exactly.
not, yeah.
Exactly. So he did just like Jesus did with all that which was called the law. He made it simpler by saying, love God with everything that you have and love your neighbor like that. Will be the sar of the message of the Torah and all the law. In the same way, Lord Krishna then came and explained to us the sar of the Upanishads in the form of the Bhagavad Gita. Because so complex, who can make out what is there? Tell me one. Okay, now I'm getting in trouble. But just purely by reading the Upanishad, show me one who is really.
No, that I was just going to say is if that's what you mean, then it's completely true. You can't read the Upanishad on your own and think you're going to understand. In fact, you will never understand any. It's the most difficult.
Pick out a few, like the Katha Upanishad, probably one of the easiest to really, at least there's a narrative, you can follow it along. This little boy Nachiketa is a very good protagonist to follow. Then he's talking to the god of death. It's so dramatic. You see, so then you can get a sense of what is going on. But even Katha Upanishad, to read by yourself and to make out what the Sanskrit is saying and what it really means and how it applies to your life, that is why all the commentaries of the sages are so beautiful. Like Shankaracharya has written commentaries on the Upanishads. His commentaries are like that. His teacher or teacher's teacher wrote a huge commentary on the Mandukya. So that was, you have to deal with it with the commentaries at best. What I'm saying is, I'm not at all saying, why would we build a Vedanta library if I was opposed to the Upanishads in any way? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that he was the first Swami that I saw who said that refer to your Atma within as the highest source of proof, even more than scripture. Okay.
Father, you mentioned maybe in passing or maybe you had a separate satsang which I might have missed, where you said even the bhoga should not be the personality. That also should be surrendered. I think I intuitively have a sense of what you're saying. Because I know when I used to enjoy things before, whether it's music or food or whatever, it had a different texture to it. And now that has changed. But can you speak some more about how one can be maybe a little more mindful or aware of that bhoga. I'll just give you a simple example. The three of us were in a rock concert recently. It's music that all of us like. It was a wonderful bhoga experience. I had the right company, the right music. Everything was perfect. 3 hours of bliss in a way. And throughout, there was this massive undercurrent of gratitude, like a river flowing, like, oh, I'm just thankful to God that this is even happening. So that's the only extent to which I think God was involved, in, at least consciously, in that experience. But maybe you can speak some more about. Yeah.
So how do we come to non-doership? By asking who is the doer, isn't it? When we ask who is the doer, then we realize that that which I take myself to be doesn't have the capacity to do anything. You see, I don't know how to fire a neuron like we say in Satsang. So how do I presume that I moved my hand, I did all of this? So we see that that I, which I take myself to be, is not the doer. In the same way, if you were to ask who experiences these perceptions right now, you see, you find that there is no individual entity like that sitting somewhere behind the eyes and uh, claiming the experience, or the mind may claim the experience as its own, but there's no entity to whom the experience belongs to, isn't it? So the inquiry leads to the same point, that there is no individual experiencer of any experience. It is the awareness itself, the pure witnessing itself, which is the substratum for all these experiences. So both the creator and the experiencer are the one itself. In fact, if there was too much of a you in the concert, you wouldn't have enjoyed. That is my proposal. It's because we go to these things so that we can be empty of the me as much as possible. We go to beautiful places to see, because in that moment the mind does not have the moves to create a narrative. So for those few minutes, few moments, we get relief from the narrator in our head, and we feel, wow, so I'm so happy I came here because I feel so relaxed. But what happened is the internal process. The mountain did not create the internal relaxation.
Yeah.
The internal relaxation happened because the mind probably hasn't seen it before, and it doesn't know how to frame it yet, and poke holes or say, what can I get out of this, before we start photographing it and posting it on Instagram and all of those things. At least till that much time, it's not come into the ownership mode. It's just in that wonder. It's just in that awe. So this concert sounds like there's a lot of wonder, a lot of awe, a lot of just allowing yourself to be. You see, because the minute this me comes in and says, I wish I could play like that. Why can't I do this? And why I should have not studied? You can make any nonsense story, right? When we get too much into that stuff, then the enjoyment of the moment is gone. So we enjoy because it's fresh. The mind doesn't have all the moves ready yet. So we feel like it's an overwhelming thing which we surround ourselves in, and we remain fresh. And if you do, like, as the concert goes further, then you notice that something starts to build. Like, is it time? Will there be traffic on the way back? Will I get stuck? Should I leave now? Wait till the end? You see all this stuff come, and then the enjoyment is not as much. So really, everything is pointing to that empty. And this is very good, because most people, when they say empty, it sounds like limbo, terrible. Who wants to stay in the empty? And that's why we do the fresh experiment in satsang. Because we were saying last time also, some people have said that this is the best satsang. Best satsang, because it's just empty.
Also, Father, a couple of things that I wanted to share on this bhoga aspect. Like, I don't think 5 years ago I would have gone to the rock concert without a few drinks.
I see.
With the presupposition that the enjoyment is contingent on the substance and the concert.
Correct.
And for the last few years, it's not been like that, luckily. And So I can see that change in what is actually happening. The other couple of things that came to mind in Bhoga when you spoke about it is some experiences are feeling more accentuated. Like, for example, taking a shower in the morning,
Yeah.
the feeling of hot water on the face or on the
Yeah.
body, it's almost like, wow, what is good? It's not like I've not been having hot showers before.
Exactly. 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 I completely agree with you.
Or even just like when the eyes open in the morning from the bed, it's like, oh wow, there's actual vision. Where is this occurring? Like I'm actually, there's an image forming. What a one, those types of things are happening. So
So if these worldly spirits can do these things to the mind to help us seemingly enjoy, wait till we live in the spirit which I am talking. Sorry? Yeah. Oh, the fight, body sensations and fear. So,
The chant, everything I'm doing, that perfection of no, I know, Jay. Listen, I want to say what how to actually don't know how to.
who's here now? Who's here now? Is God just a construct of our thinking, like a feel-good construct, or is He a alive presence with us now? Is an alive presence with us now, and what is His nature? Who is He? The one who is with us now, more intimate than holding our hand. Who is that? Is there a limit to His power? Is there a limit to His power? Who creates this entire universe? So the Lord of the universe is with you right now. Yeah? But what is missing? Huh?
Just wanted to go on and
Maybe that can go away first. That position that we take that this should not be is a position that we use to forget God. You see, forget God in what way? That He is not taking care of me. This is not by His will. You see, this is happening independent of God. Can it be so? You see? Now, in your insight, does God love us little bit or a lot? Too much. Okay. Too much is good. So that which is the source of this universe and everything in it loves us too much, then obviously he must have fallen asleep or something right now. Yeah? He must not be knowing what's happening. He knows. So he knows he is the most powerful one and he loves you too much. You see? Then what can go wrong? Can anything be wrong? What is your role in this battle?
can I just say
Sing it also.
just want to say because otherwise everything. I'm saying Ram, Ram through Satsang. I'm scared to let go of that Ram, Ram. That.
But is it Ram, Ram, Ram? Or is it Ram, Ram, Ram? Is it Oh मैं बेचारी Ram? Is that? Or is it I am your beloved, you are with me, I am a beloved child of God. Oh, no.
Just having
How do you know?
I can't see it here.
All is full. Say God's. That's all. It cannot be, especially for someone alone. It cannot be God but me, God but me. Is it? So then just God, God, God. Is he here? Is he here? But is he? Sometimes when I attack, it's okay to affirm his presence even if you know the answer. That can take you to that. So this which the fear from the mind, what is it for God? And the only way you have to deal with it is if you bring yourself as the one who has to resolve it instead of fighting with God's strength. Yes. Right now it looks like it is something you are dealing with. Get out of the picture and let God fight. And God is not really a fight. God is, that Chosen, there's one scene where Jesus just like, you don't have to do anything at all except surrender to God. That is the way to fight. It may sound like when we use the term fight, it may sound like we have to pick up the arms and fight. That's what the mind wants. It wants a confrontation with you. You are saying, here, meet my best friend, deal with him. What is your role in the... Yeah, yeah. To remember him, to invoke him rather than, bring yourself as the... yeah, please do. Why are you taking his name? Why? But why? Yeah. No, I'm saying in this situation, if that is the tool to fight, it is because we have realized that we don't have the capacity to fight, but God is with us. So remembering him, calling him, invoking him It's to remind ourselves that He is with us and He is fighting the fight. Okay, well, let's do one thing. 1, 2, 3. Jai Bajrangbali. No, it didn't come like that. You take the mic. No, that self-consciousness gets you. Be a foolish beggar for God. Don't worry about what people think and what is going to happen. Full-heartedly. Don't worry who's sitting, not sitting, what they will think. Go for it. Yourself. Already you're better, but I'm saying that, and it's not, you're right, it's not about that. But I'm saying that we put ourselves down, no? Like, we know in our heart that He loves us so much, He's taking care of us every step of the way. He is the Lord of the universe. But somehow this world's like self-consciousness, no? Like, what is there? Like, if we had to sing loudly happy birthday, then that is okay. You see, because that is acceptable in the world. But even in a safe space of satsang, if to remember God wholeheartedly, it can be like, you know? So that with me. This is what this year is going to be about, I feel. If I don't fall sick or something. Just like, I'm just tired of this, not saying to you, but I'm just tired of myself and all of us being in this year as God is here. But God is here. When we talk about big things like Atma and Brahman, we realize who are we talking about? I am Brahman. It's just self-concern. Go for it, one. Full on. It'll be different type of satsang today. That's it. That's more like it. Very good. Just that. Just that. Say it.
Really like very myself.
Our our friend is
Why? Is it that's the very calling of God. Like that. Like I would say in that way.
where is the contract with Maya saying it won't do every underhanded trick? It will do to keep you away from God.
Yeah. I'm so confused like what to do. Because if I do it Jai Bajrangbali, it's like then it would say, no, no, you're beautiful Ram, now just stay with Ram. Like that I get so pulled, this
But it itself will pull all kinds of tricks, no? It will use the children, it will use the body sensation, it will use some vibration in the head, it will use all kinds of things. It doesn't say stick to one. But why should you follow in these? Whatever is appealing to you, do that in the heart in that moment. Are you a beloved of God or not? What do you have to worry about?
This is where I get godfather.
I can't be both, no? Like the beloved of the master of the universe, and struggling with all these things by myself. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm just giving you the
Sorry, I'm just going to keep saying. Its job is to do anything so I don't. Creating this. If you're doing it wrong, stop it. Because you shouldn't be feeling this. You shouldn't be feeling this in Satsang. Time. Something, there's something.
look at the convoluted, the mind, the Maya is full of this kutark. You're doing it wrong, stop it. No, then I should take God's name stronger.
It makes it very uncomfortable. And just does that. You have to come to that attitude. Kill me if you want. I am here. Do what you want. I'm with God. Yeah. It is me. The whole definition of Maya is to that is the very definition of Maya is the one who makes us forget God. This is very important. It will convince you that you're a fake. It will convince you that you're a fake. Exact same for everyone. Making it even louder, like calm down.
The thing is, why does this happen? Like this may seem like, oh, but these people have been in satsang for so long. You see, why does this happen? So it happens because it's only after a certain point we realize what is the Mahabharata really. Initially, we come into satsang, we feel we get some peace, we feel we get a practice, and we feel, you see, then we feel like there's a literal Mahabharata happening for our Antakarna. And Maya doesn't want to let go of our Antakarna, it wants to fight with all its Maya. Yeah.
It's not about the, not about this. And then how I get caught. No, this is, I'm ready to be in this. But then, when this comes, I told myself also, kill me if you want, but it was not strong. Even inside. And I was scared to tell you, to come up and say, yeah, like when everybody's so happy, like the mind makes it, no? Everybody's listening to satsang, you're the only one struggling, and it gets into that groove. I'm not going out.
Just know that most of our brothers and sisters don't realize that they are stuck in Maya. The ones that are coming out are realizing the potency of it. Okay? Otherwise, well, like most people, oh Maya, yeah, I know it's the appearance of the world, and then when the egotism comes, but when it tries to hold us with full force, like people have called it dark night of the soul and all kinds of things. No? So, and I'm not, it's very beautiful what they've called it, Saint John of the Cross, but, uh, but that is the construct of the thing. Remember that just turning to God with full faith put you out of bed where you were feeling like you can't move one finger. Exactly. So, and this, like, Maya made a condition like that for so long and just with the fight. What I would like to say is that when these things start to scare, no, it's the scare which energizes them. I hope it's not starting. You see, with me also, this is what I noticed. It tries to, what can you do preemptively? Should I take the medicine? Should I, do whatever? It gets us into that thing.
That kind of a fear, the mind it does something. It's not explainable, Father. That's the but not just something. It's psychotic, paranoid, something. I don't know what it is. And it's very hard. People not have
What to do is know that what has worked, the mind will try to normalize. So, oh, it'll say, oh, but now today this is also not working. Today this is also not helping, isn't it? So, we have to be very careful of this kind of trickery. We have to be very careful of this kind of trickery because soon, in a few days, it will say, oh, Hanumanji is not able to help you now. It is stupid. It's just not possible. There is nothing that he can't fix. Exactly.
we were all doing the Krishna, but I know my heart was pulling me down. But it does this when it then it grabs.
Sometimes just apply the human principle. So just imagine Ramji sitting there and he's expecting you to call him, but instead you called Hanuman. So Ramji he'll be so upset. How dare you? How dare you call Hanuman? I know. I'm just making it so trivial for you so that the mind can't play this trick again. You see, and all this thing about it is all nonsense that, oh, this one, then we can't. You see, that, oh, you were praying to Ram and then you suddenly called Om Namah Shivaya. And Ramji will get so upset that you called Shivji instead. And Shivji is there sitting, feeling proud. Acha, chalo, mujhe bulaya. Oh, it's not like that. Yeah. Which version of these, like why the perfect one have to be called? Which one of these can't handle the situation? Yeah. We do remember that all of this is one God, right? Yeah. Fundamentally, somewhere we are still Advaita Vedanta. Yeah. Don't give it that much value. आपने घबराना नहीं है. See, already. What fear does to our lives. No? Maya's field marshal is fear.
So this attitude that you can do what you want. In I, that is a
It will become like a Delhi wala for some time. You meet any problem, you know what they say? तू जानता नहीं मेरा बाप कौन है? Not expecting to hear that in Satsang. Don't you know who my father is? I'm God's child. What are you going to do? But have that faith. Like, sometimes it can feel like I'm forcing that faith, then force it. No, but sometimes the mind is coming and saying, oh, but it's not really real, your faith. You're just faking it. Yeah, just don't get into that mode. Then if you fully remember your God child, then there will be periods in our spiritual growth where fear will come strongly. Maharaj Nisargadatta said that till we go through the fear of death, we cannot come to what is being pointed to. So the fear of death will come, the fear of many things will come. Just have to.
it's good, it's come.
Do you trust that God's name is actually His name, whichever the name may be? Do you feel that God, I was here, Hanuman Pudarji, a bit before Satsang. So he was also making the same point, which many of the Christian sages also make. He said, we are so blessed that we can call Ram, that he has given us his name, that we can call him, and it is impossible for him to not respond to a call. You see, just like it is, even we full of so much anger and hatred, we find it very difficult if somebody calling us not to turn. You see, then imagine for him, full of love and mercy, if somebody calls him for him not to turn is impossible. You see, it's a good way to look at it. Not that he has to turn, he knows everything already, but just to put it in that construct is so helpful, because just that, what is there to fear? What is there to worry? Who's with me? Yeah. What will Maya do maximum? He'll kill this body. This body has to go soon anyway.
That's you're the
We spend our lives remembering our true
other than staying connected. Like God.
Nobody, none of us, I don't have that faith because he told us that if we had the faith of a mustard seed, we could move mountains. So we're just beginners in faith. And most of us still feel faith is some hocus pocus thing. It's not a real thing. No, I'm saying most when we come to satsang, what is faith? First, the mind takes us into believing faith is andhvishwas, blind belief. That is the first trap. Faith is something much deeper than that. Faith is to know that at a deeper place, to know the reality of things at a deeper place. So it's a forgetting not just of God like the God himself, but forgetting of everything that we have faith in. Forgetting the fact that we are loved, forgetting the fact that we are not subject to birth and death, forgetting every truth that we have had insight about is when we get stuck in Maya. So Maya is not just a forgetting, like it's all about a forgetting of God himself, but not just like I forget he's there, a forgetting of the fact that I am not this body, a forgetting of the fact that nothing will happen to me even if this body dies, forgetting all the insights that we've had in that hypnotism of fear. It makes us this little old me who has to take care of this body, if not the body itself. Then attention seems to get fixated on those sensations, and it seems like there's no room, no? But there's always room. And the more you practice making the room for God, the more it'll become easier. There's a great clue in the Psalms also, because at least I have not come across a Psalm that ends badly. It starts badly. All of them start badly. I'm surrounded. They want to kill me and all that. But in the saying of that itself, he's like, he is with me, nothing can hurt me. And so that is a huge clue, no, for our spiritual life. What is that? Just now he could be saying they're going to kill me, gone, gone. Then next verse he's like, he is here, he saved me, nothing can happen. It feels like a mosquito. Once it's there, it seems like the most difficult. The lesson in it also is that as all of us are lights for God now, we cannot be that self-conscious. Yes, after there's hardly any teacher of God who hasn't got laughter. So we have to just live with the audience of one. Live with the audience of one. Otherwise, It's very difficult. You can feel like you're sitting up on the pedestal, but one of the things of the pedestal is that you can see everybody's expression. And not everybody's always agreeing or listening. You may be thinking you're sharing the most important point, but people are just busy with something else. The mind has got them. It could be all kinds of things. And if you start getting affected by that or hurt by that in any way, then we can't really share his life. To become very immune to anything that attacks our ego, being laughed at is a very good representation of that. And our humility is our biggest armor. The day
Father,
yes.
thank you so much. I'm really desperate to imbibe this humility you're speaking about, and
Yeah.
to,
So
I
one
don't
thing I
know.
wanted to just say about that, about this topic only, when I'm starting to accept now that anything any one of you or anyone can think about me is even the worst thing you can think about me, I'm actually worse than that. You see? I'm actually worse than that because you don't know me well enough. So that's why still, in spite of your what you may think negatively, you may think is very hard, but it's not. What I mean, there's so many. Every way that I look, I'm completely unworthy of this pedestal.
I,
And my life as a servant of God is a complete waste of potential. I've completely been selfish and wasteful
ah,
of the insight God has been kind enough to give me.
I feel this way, and I doesn't really.
No, just to feel that way is humility. You don't need to do anything else about it.
It's also, oh, but I also understand it's the mind who's making these assertions about myself, and I beat myself up. And the way I am with myself, I'm also towards others, because there is a lot of judgment. You're probably not like that, or most likely. But I can only talk about myself, because I see this rigidity, and I see rigidity towards myself, and I see also rigidity towards others.
Investigate
And
a bit deeper. Investigate a bit deeper. Because
can you say again? I didn't hear you well.
let's investigate this a bit deeper. Because oh my God, when I see my true position, I'm not in a position to judge anyone else.
Yeah,
It's not possible at all. So something seems to be amiss somewhere in the conversation, that when you see yourself just flat on the ground with head bowed down, how are you able
yeah.
to look at others and point a finger? I don't feel like that must be happening.
Um,
At least here, I'm able to point only when I get into pride. When I take myself to be something, then I am able to say, oh, you, like.
so how do you get rid of this something?
So thief who has done 100 robberies, will that thief point out to others and say, you've done one robbery, you're a thief, you're a thief? No.
I,
Not
I
do that.
I found out that this was the
That's what Jesus also said. No? He said, let the first one throw the stone who has not sinned himself or herself.
it's just see, because I know I made a mistake, okay, and I was arrogant, and I use this also to defend my ego sometimes. Just because this feeling of I think it's a mix in my head of this Advaita knowledge and spirituality, and I don't know how to
I want to
take it
tell you
out.
one thing. And there's a great Indian sage called Saint Kabir, one of the greatest sages who's ever lived. He
Yeah,
said that I went to look around for sinners. I went looking for people who've done bad things.
yeah,
And I looked and I looked and I looked everywhere, but I didn't find a greater sinner than myself. Now, where do you feel like the sage like Kabir was just beating himself up in the head? Or was there a source of knowledge which makes us humble, which comes from a deeper place as well? You see, I know that in the modern world that we are in, even what I said can sound like, but that just sounds like your mind beating yourself up. Then how is it if you look back and you see the lives of most sages, Tulsidas ji, Saint Kabir, all the Christian sages, Saint Teresa of Avila, all of them said there is no room to point a finger at anyone because I am the worst. Were they all stuck in mental stuff?
no, I
So,
know.
so there is a humility which arises in us. I'm not close to that humility, but I know looking at the lives of these sages that there is a humility that arises in them from a deeper place because it cannot be that they are stuck in the mind. So
Yeah,
we must.
they are not stuck in the mind, Father. I am stuck in the mind, and also I
No,
take.
I'm just saying that so that humility from the mind is
Yeah,
not going to really make us humble. We must endeavor to be with God's presence as much as possible, and only His presence grows these virtues within us. We cannot
yeah,
become humble by understanding something in the mind. We cannot become humble. You've heard about being humble for so many years. All of us have heard. Just by hearing of it in the head, we don't get it. It is in prayer that I see my mistakes. It is in prayer where I see my absence of love. It is in my head where I think that I'm full of so much love. But in my prayer, when I spend time with God, He shows me
yeah,
where I have to grow in my love, and that makes us humble. The only sin is the lack of love. You see? Not giving the full
yes,
extent of the love possible in every situation is the only sin. Every other sin is a byproduct of that. So,
yeah,
in your prayer time, when you go deep into His room in your heart, all the things which we need to learn
yeah,
to make us virtuous in this way will be shown to us and they will grow naturally from there. So don't try to solve a mental problem at the level of the mental solution. Take it to
yeah,
the heart. In your heart, you will be shown as to how I know that you love and respect Yogi Ji a lot. So how was he able to say that I am a foolish, humble beggar was a great sage like Yogi Ji lying?
Oh,
Isn't it? It's not possible for sages to lie. So when he said he meant it, he meant that he is foolish. He feels that he is foolish. He meant that he is a beggar.
yeah,
So that is true humility which arises in the heart of the saint when they see the magnificence of God.
yeah,
The light of the magnificence of God, all these sages have said, but don't look up to us, we are the worst.
yeah.
My advice, as with everything else, is to bring it to God, stay with Him in your heart as much as possible, and
Yeah,
then we become true, or we start to become truly humble.
yeah. I also feel this Advaita knowledge, like whatever comes to the mind, is just such a sin.
I want to tell you, and this is, were you there in the beginning of Satsang as well?
I was for a bit when you said travel with easiness or something like that, and I
Yeah, but know that Advaita is not knowledge.
yeah, Advaita is not knowledge, Father. I fully agree with you. And
I hope
and
that's simple
knowledge
for
takes
all of us.
you apart
We mistake
from him.
the path to be the destination. We're mistaking the pointers to be the darshan. We're mistaking the finger to be the moon. So our brain, or whatever you call it, the mind, should not become a storehouse of Advaita information. That information has to be juiced into true insight, which is only in the heart. So save those one or two
Yes,
pieces of information which are pointers which can bring you to true insight in the heart. Don't think that anything you know about Advaita in your head is knowledge at all. It's just garbage. It's complete garbage.
I agree with you. It's garbage, and it's not only garbage, it's arrogance and takes you and keeps you apart from where the pointers points.
So when we treat garbage as knowledge, then we stink.
The only
We
thing is, I
stink.
don't know how, like, I see the mind coming up with all these proposals, and I really don't know how to clean it up in a way.
So
Maybe,
in the first satsang, you see, whichever with any of us, in the first satsang, some pointer may have been given about what to do when the mind comes up with all of these things.
yeah.
What is that? You just have
Inquire to whom it's coming.
to inquire to whom it's coming, or just to let it go, or you just pray, or all the pointers are for that. So
Yeah,
we have to just keep at it. We just have to keep at it. It's not that the mind has to give up. We just have to keep at it.
yeah.
You see, so it shouldn't come as a surprise to us that the mind is coming up with all of this stuff. It's doing its job. You
Yeah,
see? And how do we do our job in response to that?
we pray and we inquire. Yeah.
So then the
Thank you for
question
your
then becomes,
prayer. I found it very useful these days. Thank you.
really, if we go deeper into the question should become, the mind is up to its usual stuff.
Yeah,
I'm trying to inquire, or I'm trying to pray, but at
yeah,
this point of the inquiry or this point of the prayer is where I get stuck. So can you help me with that particular point? You see? That then zeroes in on the enemy, which is Maya, you see, and then we're able to really dismantle it.
yeah.
Uh,
I think
Are
when
you getting the, Are you getting the difference between the two modes?
I,
One mode is that my mind is oppressing me. See?
yeah,
Hell, which is fine, which we've done for a long time together also. The second mode is that, yes, the mind is doing its job, it's oppressing me, and I'm trying to pray, but this is what's happening. Or I'm trying to inquire into the nature of who I am really, but this is where I get stuck.
I
Can we
get stuck in this identity, which is, I don't know, competing for knowledge or something.
Yes.
There is this arrogant I, which enjoys this journey into satsang in a way.
But I hope that with today's conversation, you see that competing for knowledge is just competing for garbage.
I know, Father, I know it from my suffering.
Exactly. You're right. Suffering is the best indicator. You're right. Now, but the good
It's
news is
not that you have to tell me it's garbage. I just
so let's do one thing. Stop calling it knowledge from today.
yeah, I can call it rubbish.
That's a practical tip. See, because I'm stuck in knowledge sounds fancier than I'm stuck in rubbish.
Can I call the I that comes package in a package rubbish too?
Is that I also knowledge?
That I is rubbish too. Yeah.
If it's knowledge, is rubbish. I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Conceptual mental knowledge. It's like a child who's telling us about what the surface area of the moon is really. You see? Up stuff. There's the mind talking about spirituality is like that. There's no access to spirit, but talking big things about spirituality is the nature of the mind. You see, what is the biggest distraction or diversion for those on the spiritual path? The mind's version of spirituality is the biggest distraction.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if you look at history, 99.9% of spiritual seekers will consider that only to be the spiritual path.
Yeah.
You see? So we have to consider today's your confession you're sharing today to be a big alarm clock in your life. You see, to be a big alarm clock in your life. And you must let go of all of this intellectual holding on and pride, and all of these things are not serving you to live a godly life, which is what
No.
you yourself are reporting. So you identified the problem, but now you have to take that one step towards God so that He can just lift you up. Don't try to come up with a conceptual conclusion about what you're going through now, because that will become fresh knowledge about stale knowledge.
I also see that, Father, because you go through this and then the mind tries to make something out of it based on satsang understanding or something, and it's
Yes,
just so
but
contaminated. It all stinks.
May I tell you something bluntly? With the only intention to try and help. Yeah?
Can you say that again? Either my internet
May I
or
tell you
yours is a
something
bit.
about this bluntly?
Father, the audio is really cracking up a lot today. I
I'm
think we
happy
can't hear what
waiting
you're
for
saying.
the others.
You can change the position of the mic because that's, I think, the beard.
Yeah, from today.
Check.
From now.
Check. This is good. Okay, so what do we do with this? I hold it like that for today and then we see what to do since it's late already. We'll close. But I just didn't want to miss on the point, but I need Karunamai's permission before I can say that. Can I be blunt?
Yes.
Okay. So I hear a lot about how you see this and how you see that also and how you see that also. But I don't hear anything about the next step, which is falling into the heart, going to God, staying with Him.
Because I'm not yet in the heart, probably. Can you help me? Thank you.
Yes. This pointing is just for that. Otherwise, we will just keep playing spot the enemy, you know. We'll just keep playing spot the enemy. Oh, he's there also. Oh, he's there also. This is what he does. This is the different uniform he has. He comes like this. He comes like. But if we don't go to the friend, then our job is not done yet. You see, spot the enemy is very important, but you have to turn towards a friend also.
Yes, it's very true. Yeah.
You see, so you see that
Thank you.
also. But I'm saying now,
Yeah.
you turn. You turn to him.
Yeah.
So, if I may, I'm giving you a time limit of only 1 minute to play spot the enemy, and the rest of your time should go in the true place.
Thank you. I like this game, but
Very good. But not the spot the enemy game, okay? So being hard.
yeah, no, I like the 1 minute limit.
Yes, please. Because many times that can seem like spiritual progress, but it's just taking us around in
It's not.
circles.
It's
I
nonsense.
see that also. I see this also. I see that also. But
Yeah.
then, what about the real one? Where is he in the picture?
Yeah. I'm always here. I heard you when you said God is here moment by moment.
There's one who takes his duty seriously. Thank you.
What did you say, Father?
She's showing me the time.
Oh, can you say that? I don't hear you.
Something is wrong with the audio today. Maybe
Now it's good. Now it's good.
I was saying that Praj has apparently the designated responsibility to show me the time. So he put up his hand on Zoom and showed me the time on his phone.
I'm happy because I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bless you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. And thank you, Sangha.
Let's all quickly wish Lian a happy birthday. Was it today or yesterday? Son, yesterday. Happy birthday, my dear. I don't have so much energy to sing today, but I wish you all the highest, all the best, all my love. All. Shivani must have really enjoyed today's satsang with the bad audio. Huh?